Hello, everybody. My name is Mustafa Alkafaji, and for my own presentation, I'm going to be talking about life with food restrictions. So, it's important to define what a food restriction is really. Food restrictions or cultures all around the world have various foods that are viewed as delicacies, as well as foods that are prohibited in their culture, right? These foods, uh, they're unable for people to eat due to their physical limitations or mental limitations, right? These limitations on those foods chooses whether somebody can eat a food or can't eat a food, right? And there's many ways to describe a food restriction specifically, but it really depends on what food is being eaten. So, religious restrictions on food. Religion actually has the highest motive for restricting food out of any ideology, more than veganism, vegetarianism, other dieting and stuff like that, right? So, like the five major religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, are religions that have their, own unique religious restrictions on food. So for Islam, Muslims can only eat food that is considered to be halal. And halal food is food that is permissible in Islam, right? Food that doesn't contain any blood or ingredients that intoxicate or alcohol or meat or carnivorous animals, pig, most reptiles, sea creatures that don't have scales, and animals that are, already dead before they are slaughtered. For meat to be considered halal, it's important for it to go through a certain ritual where it's slaughtered in the name of God, right? It seems very specific, but these rules are spiritual and they have their own reasons regarding to spirituality as well as health, right? Pork, not only is it prohibited because of spiritual reasons, it's also prohibited because it has certain health uh certain health risks. In Christianity, food restrictions aren't too strict in Christianity, but in the New Testament, it states things that, some foods that Christians are not allowed to eat, such as, food sacrificed to idols, or from blood, or from strangled animals. This idea of eating unclean animals and animals that have had a slow death correlates with a lot of core beliefs from Islam too. So it's very similar, right? So you can't eat, any dirty meat, any unclean meat. And when Christians are fasting, their diet is very similar to a vegan diet, Choice foods and meat are completely prohibited during the fast, but drinking water while fasting is okay. In Judaism, um, everybody knows that Jewish people eat kosher foods, right? And kosher means fit for consumption by Jewish people, It's similar to halal food, but it's a little bit more strict, The core ideas are very similar, but it varies when talking about meat, Meat and dairy can't be mixed together to be eaten, Torah explicitly states that. And animals like horses and shellfish are considered to be non-kosher, which are completely prohibited, but are makruh in Islam, meaning that it's okay to eat them, but it's not something that's looked up upon. In Hinduism, it's general ruling that Hindus should avoid foods that could possibly hinder any spiritual development. That means foods that could stimulate the senses, like garlic and onions. Beef is also extremely prohibited because cows in Hinduistic religions are viewed as sacred animals, and pork is also prohibited because they're also viewed as unclean. In Buddhism, Buddhists follow a diet that is very similar to vegetarian. They don't eat meat, seafood, or poultry. They can consume dairy products, however, and also they cannot eat eggs, which slightly differs from vegetarianism. For dietary restrictions, this focuses more on the the genetic side of things. Some people just can't eat certain foods. For example, foods like nuts, shrimp, kiwis, and seeds. They're very good foods and they're healthy for the human body to consume. But just some people can't consume them because they have allergic reactions to them. That could possibly harm them dangerously or cause swelling to their bodies. For me personally, I'm lactose intolerant, and eating any kind of dairy, yogurt, milk, ice cream, any of that kind of stuff, it really upsets my stomach. As for other diets, focusing more on diets that focus on health and are kind of a choice for somebody to make. There's many diets that follow this curriculum. Keto diets, paleo, carnivorous, vegan, and calorie deficits and surpluses. Right? Keto diets are focused on lowering the amount of carbohydrates that a human consumes by lowering the amount of sugar and processed food intake. Paleo diets try to replicate what our early ancestors used to eat, right? Like meat, fish, vegetables, and fruit. Carnivorous diets are somewhat similar to paleo diets, but they differ because they don't accept any vegetables. It's just meat, dairy, fruits, and honey, right? They for many carnivorous diet believers, they feel as though that vegetables do more harm than they do good. Vegans are very similar to vegetarians, but the main difference between them is that vegans aren't allowed to eat any animal products at all, and that includes dairy, right? And calorie deficits and surpluses, they're not really strict food restrictions, but they try to promote, consumption of higher, lower calorie foods for weight loss or weight gain, And this could go on about talking about healthier food options that have lower calorie or higher calorie in them, or just in general limiting sugars and processed foods in order to lose or gain weight, depending on somebody's goals. Now, why is this important? It's important to understand why this is important because you know we need to know what people can or can't eat. Some people, if you were to offer somebody food, for example, that wasn't kosher or wasn't halal, it would be kind of awkward, and it's important to build this respectful relationship between the two or more cultures. Um, we should be more considerate around these people, and a lot of people walk around oblivious to knowing these things, and it's important to know for our lives, as humans, as people in the same like society and same earth that we live in. We need to know these things about ourselves or about each other, and we should be. The most important thing is that we need to be grateful for what we have, because many people don't even have food to wake up for the next day. We have certain food restrictions. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. Well, there's people who can't eat anything. They don't have food for anything. And it's very important to understand where we're coming from, where others are coming from. And that's my presentation. Thank you guys so much for watching.